Hey, what's up, Mavs fans? Kevin Gray, Mavericks pre and post game host on 97.1 The Freak on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. Hope you had a Merry Christmas as Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks got a nice road win over the Phoenix Suns. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to download and subscribe to Inside the Mavs with myself and Mavs Sports Illustrated writer Grant Avseth, wherever you get your podcasts for free on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Give the podcast a 5-star rating and write a review while you're there. You can also subscribe to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube, where you can check out the Gray Area podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you can download that podcast anywhere you get podcasts for free. Special night in Phoenix for Luka Doncic as the Mavericks get the 128-114 win. It's their 10th road win of the season to move to 18-12 through 30 games as Luka Doncic was absolutely special in Phoenix as he dropped 50 points, 15 assists. My man also had 4 steals and 3 blocks and also tied a Christmas Day NBA record, nailing 8 3-pointers in the game, despite the fact that Grayson Allen went off in the third quarter with 19 points of his own, including 5 3-pointers. Didn't expect it to be the Grayson Allen and Luka Doncic show on Christmas Day, but nonetheless, that's what we had as Grayson Allen was spectacular in that third quarter. It didn't matter, though, as Luka Doncic and the returning Dereck Lively II, who had a double-double with 20 and 10, were able to get the 14-point win on the road. Mavericks now moving up to 5th in the Western Conference by virtue of that win on Christmas night. But this is all about Luka Doncic, okay? Luka Doncic, who this year is averaging over 33 points per game, shooting nearly 39% from 3, averaging over 10 threes taken per game, and so far is second in the NBA only to Stephen Curry in 3-pointers made this season at hitting 113. He becomes the 4th player in NBA history to score at least 50 in a Christmas Day game. Oh, and that's right, he became the fastest player since Michael Jordan to reach 10,000 career points, and of course, nailing his 10,000th point on a patented 3-pointer, a deep 3-pointer from about nearly 30 feet away in the first quarter. Luka Doncic right now is playing at an MVP-like level. He's playing the best basketball of his career. He's shooting 77, 78% from the free throw line. As I mentioned, nearly 39% from 3, shooting nearly 49% from the field, and is second in the NBA in scoring to only Joel Embiid. Oh, that's right. He's also top 5 in assists so far this year as well. What's interesting about what the Mavericks have done as they have decided now to bring Grant Williams off the bench, you saw in the game against Phoenix a starting lineup that included Tim Hardaway Jr. alongside Derrick Jones Jr., Dante Exum, Luka Doncic, and Dereck Lively II. The Mavericks have now started 14 different lineups this season through 30 games, and yet they're 18-12 through their first 30, which tells me, boys and girls, anytime you have Luka Doncic in the starting lineup with 4 competent NBA players, you've got a chance to win a lot of games on a lot of different nights, and that is what Luka Doncic has been, not just this year, but the entirety of his career. But you saw the difference that Dereck Lively II made in terms of his ability to rim run, to finish at the rim with authority, but also provide a little bit of rebounding. Well, you say, Kevin, the Mavericks still got out-rebounded by the Suns on Christmas Day. But the idea is, as things continue to move forward this season, hopefully things will even out from a rebounding standpoint with Lively consistently in the lineup. But again, Luka Doncic is playing as the league's MVP right now, which is funny because you look around, you see Joel Embiid, you see Giannis, you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all of them having terrific seasons. Nikola Jokic doing the same as a part of the reigning NBA champion Denver Nuggets. But you mean to tell me a guy who's averaging nearly 34 points per game, shooting nearly 39% from 3, a career best, by the way, for that 3-point mark, a career best 77, 78% free throw shooter, taking 10 attempts from 3 per game. And, oh, that's right, he's 3rd in the NBA right now in minutes played, averaging over 37 minutes a night, where he's carrying this entire franchise on his back while still being 2nd in the league, only to Stephen Curry in 3-pointers made this year. And that only scratches the surface of what Luka Doncic has done so far. My man dropped 15 assists in this game, and you saw just the variety of passing and the vision that he has. And again, I'm not telling you anything new. What I'm trying to emphasize for you is this should be the leading MVP candidate in the National Basketball Association right now. To do what he has done, overcoming the injuries that this team has suffered so far this year, to be 6 games above 500 through 30 games, without Kyrie Irving for the last few weeks, without Dereck Lively for the last 4 or 5 games until he returned on Christmas Day, and the shuffling and jumbling of lineups that we've seen so far this season. And oh, by the way, Luka Doncic has committed on the defensive end. Multiple steals, multiple blocks in the Christmas Day game, multiple times where he was able to lead the fast break because of defensive plays that he made himself on one end and then converting a transition on the other end. What I'm telling you is he's doing it all. And that's what an MVP is supposed to be, right? A guy that is not only valuable to his club, but shows his value in a variety of ways, in a variety of spectrums. Luka Doncic is doing that. Whether it be being an offensive savant on the offensive end with his 3-level scoring, punishing teams down at the free throw line with his ability to get and convert at the line. Oh, that's right. He also went 12 of 12 from the free throw line in the game against Phoenix. So here's the thing. There's nothing the league could do with him anymore. I've told you this before, and I've told you several times. If Luka Doncic ever became close to an 80% free throw shooter throughout the course of a season, there would be nothing the league could do with him. I didn't realize he was going to add the three-point consistency to his game as well now in his 6th NBA season, because the catch and shoot threes that he's making, the threes that he's making in transition, all the step back threes that we know he loves to take and make, he is shooting the ball from the three-point line in a variety of ways that devastates teams no matter how you try to defend him. There's no possible way that you could defend him. Teams are blitzing him, trying to double team him. Oh, that's right. That creates 4-on-3 advantage basketball for the Dallas Mavericks, and you've seen how he's been able to punish teams by finding open guys, whether it be Dereck Lively at the rim, open shooters in Derrick Jones Jr., Tim Hardaway Jr., Dante Exum. Take your pick. Luka Doncic is the definition of what an MVP should be, making all of his teammates better, playing at an incredibly high level, and doing it on both ends of the floor, which for the first time in his career, we can say definitively that he's doing that on both ends. And you're seeing the results of it for what it means for his team. This team obviously feeds off Luka Doncic and what he does on a night-to-night basis. But it's his commitment to both ends of the floor that challenges his teammates to have to do the same. While you will never accuse the Dallas Mavericks of being a great defensive team, what they will have to do going forward, led by Luka Doncic, is to get stops when they need to, especially in the fourth quarter. When Kyrie Irving comes back to this team, offensively, they're not going to be stopped. Hell, they can't be stopped right now offensively with the barrage of three-pointers that they're making. They've got 2 guys in the top 10 right now in three-pointers made this season. Luka Doncic being one of them, Tim Hardaway Jr. being the other, who's been sensational off the bench and has been so in the starting lineup over the last couple of games. So for the Mavericks now, through 30 games, they've been able to overcome adversity, deal with injuries. They get the return of Dereck Lively. It looks like Kyrie Irving is going to be on his way back here fairly soon, hopefully before the end of the year, if not at the beginning of January. And now you'll have a lineup solidified with Luka, Kyrie, Dante Exum, Derrick Jones Jr., and Dereck Lively. And big shout out to Derrick Jones Jr., who's got more 20-point games this season than he's had in the entirety of his 8-year career in the NBA. Teams, or players, I should say, should be flocking to Dallas, watching what Derrick Jones Jr. is doing so far this year. Because, again, when you play with Luka Doncic, you're going to get a bunch of wide open looks all the time. And Derrick Jones, who's got a green light to knock down threes, has been doing so at an incredible rate for this team this year, providing length, athleticism, and his ability to finish at the rim. You saw him follow up a missed shot with a one-handed ferocious dunk in the paint. All those things you've been loving so far from Derrick Jones. But this, for Luka Doncic, was an absolutely sensational performance. I've run basically out of superlatives now to describe Luka Doncic as a player. He's dynamic. He's creative. He's a visionary. He's fun. All the things you want to assign to him, do it, because that's what he's doing on the floor right now. And Jason Kidd said it best after the game against Phoenix. We cannot take Luka Doncic for granted. As I mentioned, becoming the fastest player since his airness to reach 10,000 points. He reached 10,000 points before the likes of guys like LeBron James, Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal. These are the kinds of names and company that Luka Doncic is keeping. And there's no reason to think that he's going to slow down anytime soon. And the scary part is the Mavericks needed every bit of that 50 points that he got against Phoenix on Christmas night. That's why I tweeted out, I can't wait to get Kyrie Irving back on this roster to take some of that load off of Luka in terms of everything that he's being asked to do on a night-to-night basis. The Herculean efforts that Luka Doncic is putting forward night after night after night while carrying the load that he's carrying, as I mentioned, playing over 37 minutes a night, is unfathomable to think about, even for a superstar of the caliber of Luka Doncic. So you love it, you marvel in it, and you appreciate it, but at the same time, you hope that his teammates continue to come along with him. You saw the game against San Antonio where they knocked down 23 three-pointers. This team is going to have to knock down a bunch of threes to beat teams every night, knowing that this team isn't going to be great defensively all season. Their best defense is a great offense. And when you've got arguably the best offensive player in the game right now leading the charge on that offense, you're going to do a lot of devastating things to defensive opponents no matter what they throw at you. Because I don't care what defenses are doing. Double teams, triple teams, trying to blitz him, trying to get the ball out of his hands. Luka Doncic is a computer who generates information, understands what defenses are trying to do to him, and then is able to adjust on the fly and make you pay for it. And he has done that time and time and time again for the Dallas Mavericks. And it reached apex on Christmas night, dropping the 50 points that he did. And here is what's the craziest part about all of it is. He doesn't look bothered. No one's going to speed him up. No one's going to change his tempo. No one's going to force him to do things on the court that he doesn't want to do. And him leading this offense and being able to be the guy that gets everyone open while also creating his own offense to the devastating efficiency at which he does it with, it makes it really, really scary for defenses to try to come up with something to defend him, especially if his teammates are going to continue to knock down shots. It's the LeBron effect when he was in Cleveland. You put 4 competent NBA players around Luka Doncic, you're going to win a lot of ball games, much like how LeBron James was in Cleveland during the early years, his first stint there. You put competent NBA players around LeBron James, he's going to lead you to 50 wins every year and to the NBA Finals. I know the East was the East and not necessarily the juggernaut that it used to be way back when, but you get my point. LeBron James and Luka Doncic have that kind of effect on their teammates. They want to play for them. They want to be around them. And more importantly, they know they're going to get a bunch of wide open looks. And if they do their jobs and knock down shots, Luka Doncic is the kind of guy and player that will continue to look for you. And you're seeing the leadership from him as well, getting on Jaden Hardy, getting on others about things happening and not happening on the defensive end. All of these things are part of the evolution of Luka Doncic, whether it's because he's become a daddy all of a sudden or whatever the case may be. Something has switched in Luka Doncic, and here's the part that I think is most fascinating. He now realizes, in my humble opinion, that no one can stop him. When a player of this type of generation realizes that there is nothing anyone can do to stop him, and the only person that can stop him in the world is himself, that is one of the most powerful feelings that an athlete can have, is the ability to know that no matter what time they step on the floor, at any point, any place, anytime, no one can deal with him or her. And in this case, it's Luka Doncic. He knows that when he steps on the floor, he is the best player on the floor every single night, and no one can deal with him. So I don't know what the league does at this point. He's going to punish you at the free throw line. He's going to bury you from three. He's going to get to his spot, hit the Dirk fadeaway, hit a mid-range floater, maybe hit a nice little bank shot, or throw a pass behind the back of his head, no looking, to Derrick Jones for a three. And next thing you know, you're down by 15, and you didn't even realize it because it's death by 1,000 paper cuts with Luka Doncic. I don't know what the NBA does. All I know is that I'm glad he's on the team for the Dallas Mavericks, because Mavericks fans are marveling, as they should, as well as I, at the exploits of a 24-year-old, a precocious 24-year-old who has dominated the league this year and should be the front runner right now for the NBA's MVP. And that's standing on all kinds of business. Luka Doncic is coming to get back on the floor on Wednesday when they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, as he looks to continue his devastating start to what has been a magical season for him so far. Again, you can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to subscribe and download to the Inside the Mavs podcast, wherever you get your podcast for free, on iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. Give the podcast a 5-star rating and write a review while you're there. You can check out my podcast, The Gray Area, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, wherever you get your podcast for free, and here on YouTube as well. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I will catch you on Wednesday, getting you ready for Mavericks basketball on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. 97.1 The Freak, with pregame beginning at 7 o'clock, tip-off at 7:30 at the American Airlines Center, as the Mavericks look to make it 3 in a row when they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers at the AAC. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. Appreciate you joining me on this Inside the Mavs minisode here, right here on Kevin Gray Sports on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast for free. Talk to you later. Peace.